All units be on lookout for a Melissa Witt. Be a white female, 19 years of age.
I'm just praying that whoever has her, she will be able to come home alive.
It was relief, I guess, that they found the car, but then it was more like, well, where is she?
A body has been found in Franklin County, and the question is the body that of Melissa Witt?
The dental work appears to match that of the popular West Ark College student who has been missing since December 1st.
Dear Father in heaven, days like today, more than any others, I suppose, make people like us feel helpless.
There's been dozens of detectives and hundreds of hours dedicated to this case.
The murder of 19-year-old Melissa Witt shook the community of Fort Smith, Arkansas back in 1994. It's a case that is still unsolved to this day. Welcome to Unnatural State of Crime. I'm Jo Ellison. Who abducted this young woman? What happened to her? And how have they gotten away with it this long? It's questions that investigators who were there from the very first day are still trying to uncover. Some who have never met Melissa are now involved in the search for her killer. This is the story of Melissa Witt.
We lived down the street from each other, so we lived on 40th Street in Fort Smith, and she lived with her mom, and we moved into the neighborhood. She was always super friendly. We actually met she just came over to our house and introduced herself. My mom happened to make cookies, which I don't even really remember my mom making cookies much as a child, but I guess she did. And to be nice, my mom asked Missy, would you like a cookie? And Missy said, sure. And she grabbed like 2 or 3 of them just immediately. But that's just kind of who she was. She never met a stranger.
Tara Limbird, now a wife, mother, real estate broker, and business owner in Northwest Arkansas, remembers 19-year-old Melissa Witt as an outgoing child, a kind person, and a good friend.
We would ride our bicycles to Hardee's and KFC, and with our like 50 cents or $1 to spend, and we would, sometimes we thought we were cool, like we had those like candy cigarettes, and back when restaurants had smoking sections, we would sit in the smoking section with our candy cigarettes, and so lots of laughs.
Melissa Witt lived with her mother, Mary Ann Witt, in a single-parent household.
Mary Ann was one of the most protective parents I've ever met in my life. She would just yell, Melissa, like you could just hear it from miles away, and like, oh, we gotta go back. And she was always, tell me where you are, tell me when you're leaving. She was super protective of her. Did you do realize that you can try so hard to be so protective, but you just can't be with your kid or with anybody for that matter, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if you are, still, you can't protect them from everything.
In 1994, Melissa Witt, now 19 years old, was enrolled at West Ark Community College in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Tara, 1 year younger than her friend, sat next to Melissa in class. They spent most weekends together.
We both would hang out a lot on like Friday and Saturday nights, and trying to figure out what you can do when you're 18 and 19 years old and you're in college and you want to do all these fun things, but you're not 21 yet either. So, but we spent a lot of time in the car driving around on the weekends together.
On December 1st, 1994, everything changed.
My mom woke me up in the middle of the night and said, hi, Tara, Mary Ann's on the phone. As Missy's mom said, Missy didn't come home. Do you know where she is? I'm half asleep. I didn't really think much of it. And, the next morning go to school and she's not in the classroom. And then before class was over, the police knocked on the door and asked to see me because at that point her mom had called the police, and now they were trying to investigate and, talking to anybody who had talked to her or seen her recently.
All units be on lookout for a Melissa Witt. Be a white female, 19 years of age, 5'5", 135. Have hazel eyes, brownish blonde hair. Last seen Thursday, December 1st.
Hello, sir. We have a local girl that's missing, and we're just passing out flyers, trying to get any information we can.
We ran 1,500 flyers for this.
People from the small River Valley community of Fort Smith, Arkansas, friends, family, and some who didn't even know Melissa joined in the search. Business owners printed off flyers with Melissa's picture and put up billboards in hopes of finding her. Every hour that went by, the search grew and word spread.
She couldn't do it without calling her mom, and she'd miss her mom a lot. Missy is my sister. She's not just my best friend. And this would upset anybody. And it's upset me. I want her back. I want my friend back, and I want my sister back, and our friends want her back, and her mom wants her back. Missy, right now we're doing the world to find you. If you're somewhere, just hang in. We are doing everything we can do to find you right now. And we love you. Just hang in there.
Police searched the college campus. Students were baffled that a girl they saw every day would leave without telling her mom or friends where she was going.
We think we're often protected here in the small town of Fort Smith, and lots of students are very sad. Those that know Melissa know that this isn't like her. She's a very responsible person. She often leaves notes for her mother telling her where she's going, and it wouldn't be like her just to run off. And as days go on, you know, we get even more fearful because there's some frightening thoughts of what could be happening to her.
This is unbelievable.
How can you say that? Is it just out of character for her?
Yes.
Police interviewed Melissa's co-workers at Family Dentistry in Fort Smith's Boston Square. Those co-workers, who may have been the last to see Melissa before she vanished, say she had car trouble.
Her car wouldn't start. She came in. She was a little upset because her car wouldn't start. She had left her lights on. She came in to find out about jump starting it, and we decided to go out and jump start her car, and we were able to get someone from next door to help us. That she'd left the lights on from being at the mall during the afternoon, and I told her to leave her car running for about 15 minutes rather than just to stop the car right then, and we left. And that was the last time I saw Melissa.
Mary Ann Witt waited to hear any news about her daughter.
She's always had lots of friends, and she loves people, and she just enjoys life. I don't feel that she went of her own accord. I'll say that. I don't think she would have. And I just have confidence in her. I'm going only by what the police have told me, and they have told me that should they find out anything, I would be the first one to know, and I've just held on to that.
A few days after Mary Ann reported her daughter missing, it started to become clear something bad happened to Melissa Witt.
The vehicle was found by a patrol officer at about 8:30 in the morning, parked outside Bowling World here in Fort Smith.
Drops of blood led across the parking aisles to the next row of cars, and it stopped there. So immediately we assumed that she was probably attacked in behind her vehicle and either forcefully shoved or drugged or carried over to whoever took her vehicle.
I want to tell her that she's loved more than anything in the world, and I just love to have her back. If she's able to see me or to hear me, I love her with all my heart.
Family and friends spent those couple of days desperately trying to find Melissa. Her car was found in the parking lot of Bowling World in Fort Smith. But what makes this case even more heartbreaking? Melissa's mother, Mary Ann, was inside of that bowling alley. She never knew her daughter pulled up that night, intending to go inside to see her mom. Melissa never made it through the doors. Police believe this is the exact moment Melissa Witt is abducted.
A couple of the investigators got to noticing in behind her vehicle what appeared to be blood.
On December 1st, 1994, Melissa Witt was reported missing by her mother, Mary Ann. A few days later, her white two-door car was found in the parking lot of Fort Smith's Bowling World. There were no security cameras at the time, but there were alarming clues.
The drops of blood led across the parking aisles to the next row of cars, and it stopped there. So immediately we assumed that she was probably attacked in behind her vehicle and either forcefully shoved or drugged or carried over to whoever took her vehicle.
Now retired, Fort Smith Police Detective J.C. Ryder was the lead detective on Melissa's case in 1994. He remembers the moment the case took a turn. Manpower was needed, and the police force called on any help they could get.
At that time, we've got an abduction, more than likely. We don't know if it was somebody that knew her. Didn't know at the time if it was somebody, a stranger abduction. At that point, it turned on to the whole police department. Contacted state police to assist in the investigation. We called on the sheriff's office. We called on everybody, to assist.
Melissa Witt's mother, Mary Ann, was inside of Bowling World that night. She was on a bowling league and never knew her daughter pulled up in the dim-lit parking lot. Mary Ann left Bowling World that night, not seeing her daughter's abandoned car. It was a few days later, police recovered it and processed it for evidence.
We interviewed so many people that were at the Bowling World that night, but it seems like everybody was inside when the abduction was taking place.
Ryder says there may have been someone who saw a part of the abduction, but didn't know at the time what they were witnessing.
A young boy his mother had sent him out to get his school books out of her car. She happened to be bowling with Miss Witt, Mary Ann Witt, the mother of Melissa. The boy goes out, he comes back in and he tells his mom, he says, "Mom, there's a man and a woman fighting out in the parking lot." And she says, "You don't know what you're talking about." I thought it was typical kid stuff. And he said, insisted, no, there's a man and a woman fighting out in the parking lot.
Ryder says the boy was about 10 years old.
I believe with all my heart that he saw that.
Melissa's mother, Mary Ann Witt, makes a plea through television interviews for her daughter's safe return.
One thing I want to say to her, I want to tell her that she's loved more than anything in the world, and I just love to have her back. If she's able to see me or to hear me, I love her with all my heart.
Police pieced together Melissa's moments from leaving work to parking her car in the Bowling World parking lot.
Goes home. We know that she changed out of her scrubs, and we know what she was wearing: a pair of blue jeans, a sweater, some little squiggly earrings, and a Mickey Mouse watch. As a matter of fact, one of the squiggly earrings was found also at Bowling World in the blood with a drop of blood on it. It was a day or so later that her car keys had been turned in to the front desk. The only thing really immediately was what appeared to be blood on her car keys, on the key fob.
Christmas passed, the new year, 1995, was celebrated, but it was hard for friends and family of Melissa Witt to go on with the world around them. They were looking for Melissa, hoping whoever had her would let her go. January 13th, 1995, a body is discovered in the Ozark National Forest.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on this Friday. It is a heart-wrenching day today for the family of 19-year-old Melissa Witt.
Family members are hoping against hope that the body found in Franklin County this morning is not Melissa's. No positive identification has been made. The state medical examiner arrived on the scene just moments ago to take the body back to Little Rock to determine if it's Melissa's or some other young white female. You have talked to Melissa's mother on numerous occasions throughout this long ordeal. She is a remarkable woman.
Yes, she is. It's very difficult to talk to her because I keep picturing my own mother. You know, when I'm speaking to her, this is the hardest job I think a reporter has, is to stand outside someone's home or talk to someone who's been through this difficult kind of ordeal.
January 13th, 1995. 2 hunters driving past a rural area of the Ozark National Forest discover the body of a nude white female. Melissa Witt's mother, Mary Ann, and her family gather at the Witt home, a mother hoping the body isn't her daughter's.
We're afraid now that bad news has come, and if we are going to have bad news, then she's ready to find out.
The community of Arkansas's River Valley waits for answers.
The dental work appears to match that of the popular West Ark College student who has been missing since December 1st. A police chaplain broke the news to Melissa's mother and drove her home from work.
Melissa's body was found in a wooded area nearly 50 miles from the Bowling World parking lot. Someone drove her to a rural area in Franklin County's Ozark National Forest. Police aren't certain if she was still alive at the time or had already been murdered. Lead detective on Melissa's case, J.C. Ryder, and other law enforcement from across the state of Arkansas pieced together what happened to Melissa Witt the night she was abducted and sexually assaulted.
She was strangled to death. You know, it takes a long time to kill somebody whenever you strangle them to death. She was strangled face down. We know that from the autopsy report. Again, the vegetation that was found in her windpipe. All of her clothes were taken. She was left nude.
Ryder says the body was moved from behind a giant boulder. Decomposition from behind the boulder showed evidence Melissa's body was behind that rock and hidden for some time.
These 2 trappers coming along had said that they drove that road every day. They didn't see the body the day before, of course, or they would have reported it. You could tell at that time that, you know, there were drag marks there. And we knew that her body had been in behind there just almost for certain the whole amount of time that she had been missing.
Before Melissa's body was found and after she disappeared, a call came into the Fort Smith Police Department. At the time, police didn't know what it meant. But now they wonder if the callers are the ones who moved Melissa's body so it could be found.
She said, well, are you going to tell them what happened? And, you know, whoever it was just hung up the phone. Anyway, we never have got that person to come forward. During that time, the incoming calls couldn't be traced. If it would have happened in this day of time, you know, we could have got more.
Police started looking at every person with a criminal record. Promising leads popped up, and officers dedicated to finding Melissa's killer worked around the clock.
We had a guy from Ozark that was actually out on bond at the time. Never could rule him out completely. This guy had went to school with Melissa. He had went to Mrs. Witt and volunteered to help, just trying to interject himself into the investigation. There again, not completely eliminating him, because nobody's been completely eliminated. If I sat there and told you how many people actually went to jail for different charges because they wound up being investigated in this case, we'd be here till probably tomorrow.
I feel sorry for her parents. My heart goes out. I just hope that everybody realizes how beautiful she was, inside and out.
As Melissa was laid to rest, Fort Smith police had undercover detectives filming everyone who attended her funeral.
She was one of the members of our church here at Grand Avenue. Very well thought of.
No solid leads turned up.
Now will you pray with me? Dear Father in heaven, days like today, more than any others, I suppose, make people like us feel helpless.
7 years later, no one has been arrested for the murder of Melissa Witt. Every year on the anniversary of Melissa's death, or when asked, her devoted mother, Mary Ann, continued to do interviews, hoping to shed light on her daughter's case, also in hopes that someone would come forward with a piece of information that could bring closure. Mary Ann passed away in 2011 at 75 years old. She didn't get to see the person responsible for her daughter's murder brought to justice. But there are still police, friends, and even investigative documentary crew who are still fighting for her daughter, and the answers that will crack this case. 19-year-old Melissa Witt and her mother, who was 75 at the time of her death, now lay forever side by side. A daughter whose life was taken too soon, and a mother who never gave up the fight to name her daughter's killer.
Would have been nice to have happened before Missy's mom passed away too, just so, you know, so maybe that would have been a tiny bit of closure for her. And so, you know, for that not to have happened for her sake either, you know, is disappointing, but you know, I know everyone's tried.
Melissa's childhood friend, Tara Lindbergh, stops by to see her friend from time to time and wonders what it would be like if she were still here.
See a picture of her on Facebook and her posting a picture of her son at Little League practice.
Melissa's case is now in these evidence boxes at the Fort Smith Police Department.
We have things that we can test. It's just the process of who are we going to test it against. So, you know, there was a lot of things that hindered abilities in that aspect. We do have things that we can test. It's just the magical who's the person we need to connect it to.
And someday detectives will find those answers. Fort Smith Police Captain Daniel Grubbs says with the passion officers show this case, it's just a matter of time before the right person comes forward with the right information.
Officers take situations and cases like that personally. We shouldn't, but part of our emotion is it keeps our drive to where, you know, we don't want to give up. It just, you want to do whatever you can and just believe that the right person at some point is going to come forward or the right person is going to confess. You're looking at that photograph of Melissa Witt. Usually there's several that are prominent that you see, and I think you just see innocence. You see beauty. You see a young lady that was victimized, and that as a society we want someone to be held accountable. And I think it's frustrating that over 2 decades have passed and that, you know, we don't have resolution to this. But I just think it's something as a community, we're not going to let it go.
The Melissa Witt case may have been passed from lead detective to other detectives, as some retired over the years. But this unsolved murder that happened over 20 years ago is still active. Officers on the case still work with those who were there from day one. There's articles of Melissa's that, if were found, could help the case.
The Mickey Mouse watch was given to her as a Christmas present. It was an expensive enough watch that it had the serial number in the box, and we have that.
There's a good chance these items or the right tip could be uncovered. Social media didn't exist back when Melissa was abducted and murdered, but it does today, and it's powerful, especially with a person like LaDonna Humphrey guiding the hunt for Melissa Witt's killer.
It was a humbling experience for me, but I've read through her diary several times, and it really kind of cinched the idea of who I thought she was based on everybody that I'd talked to. She was very funny, boy crazy, got mad at the same kind of things that any young woman would at that age, a little bit of jealousy, worried about what, she looked like, fixing her hair, putting her hair in rollers. And that too was, I think, another part of the pivotal moment that I had, is to just learn that she was a lot like me. She was a lot like you.
LaDonna Humphrey never met Melissa, but she's read her entire case file, knows more about her than most, and alongside Fort Smith Police retired detective J.C. Ryder, who she consults often, and her production partners, she's working on telling Melissa's story through a documentary.
This is your 6 o'clock news.
Good evening, I'm Bridget Bonds, filling in for Guy Westmoreland, who is off tonight.
And I'm Burr Edson.
She also has a website and a Facebook page dedicated to finding Melissa's killer.
We have 2 main avenues for people to learn more about the case, and that's our website, whokilledmissywitt.com, And then we have a Facebook page that's Who Killed Missy Witt. On both of those pages, there's an 800 number that people can call if they have tips, and that information will go right to investigators. It's an anonymous hotline. You can call with any kind of information that you have. You don't have to give your name.
Those behind Who Killed Missy Witt receive tips daily. They share those with police who track down every lead. They keep Melissa's story in the news, on social media, and are fighting for justice.
There's somebody out there that has information about the case, and it may be small, it may not be something that they think is explosive, but they know just enough that they've carried it with them all these years, and they've been afraid to come forward. And there's no fear to come forward. Law enforcement just needs that piece of information so they can propel this to the end.
That's the story of Melissa Witt, a girl abducted, murdered, but still remembered by the entire state of Arkansas. Her killer is out there, and one day we'll know what happened to Melissa Witt. That's it for Unnatural State of Crime. I'm Jo Ellison. Join me next time as we explore another unnatural case.